spell that right? God dang it. No, you should say something. That's my job. Baked and burned.
Burned, yeah.
Yeah, there's a D on that. And there's probably a D in this book. Tori Ross.
There's lots of Ds.
Welcome in. That's probably my best lead. Welcome into the show, Tori.
Thanks for having me.
So you are an author that writes steamier pieces.
I am, yes. I write steamy romance. Most of it is romantic comedy. I do have some steamy contemporary, and I also have one Why Choose book. I won't really explain that one here.
What's a Why Choose book?
Well,
I mean, I'm sorry. We have to know now.
Okay, so this really quickly turned into Not Your Grandmother's Show. So Why Choose is when a female main character has more than one option as far as male main characters.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
very good explanation.
Mostly romantic comedy, but very steamy.
And, you know, we were talking before we came back on the air, and, you know, whenever you were writing this, you know, and you're getting into it, you decide in 2021 that you're going to take the path. Yeah. Was there any, like, hang up to that? Because, you know, when you're writing a children's book, you know, it's a little bit easier, you know, because everyone's like, man, that's great. But to me, I'm always one of those where my creative freedom might get a little bit hindered because of, you know, what are they going to do, you know?
Well, thankfully, I have a husband who's very, very supportive. So I told
Good
him,
job.
I told him I was writing this, and he was all for it. He was like, way to go, put it out there. He even shares some of my stuff, you know, on social media.
Tori, that's awesome. That is really cool.
I lucked out with him. And at the time, I was working, this is kind of funny, but I was working as a special education para at the time and doing a lot of writing during my downtime while I was at work. And my coworkers were really supportive of it too.
That's awesome.
So I had a very good support system, and I thought people would be kind of grossed out by it.
Right.
But everybody's been really accepting of it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I really do, because, I mean, obviously, that's why I always find fascinating about society sometimes, because it's like we all are, you know, used to our cultural, you know, norms and stuff, but when you're able to really have that freedom to expand your thoughts and ideas and do something like this, that's productive. That's wonderful, you know? Be the best.
Yeah. It worked out really well.
So what was your, your first book, what was it called?
My first book was called Arson, and it's kind of like a superhero romance.
Okay.
But I always say I want to burn that book in my backyard because it's very first bookish. Because the thing about writing is that your first shot at anything is not going to be as good as your third or fourth swing at something.
Right.
So I've definitely improved over the years. But yeah, that was my first book. Wrote it back in 2021 and just been kind of writing ever since.
And your last piece, Baked and Burned, when did that come out?
That actually just came out October 1st, so just a couple of days ago.
Oh, here we go, because I know that you scheduled originally and we pushed it back.
Yeah. I had COVID, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, how are you feeling?
Well, that was 9 months ago.
Yeah, I was going to say,
okay.
I hope you're feeling better. Long haulers.
Yeah.
But, you know, getting into to Baked and Burned, what is this one about?
So this one is book 2 of a series, and you do not have to read the first book to enjoy Baked and Burned. But it is about a police officer and his friend's friend, and they have a one-night stand. So it was my first pregnancy trope. They end up, you know, pregnant from the one-night stand. She hides it from him a little bit, and shenanigans kind of ensue. So yeah, it was. It kind of goes along with the first book, which was Contact High.
Okay.
And that was about. I wrote that when Missouri legalized marijuana, because the MMC in that one is a drug task force agent. And the female main character in that she owned an edibles food truck, like make brownies and stuff like that. So this actually, Baked and Burned, follows their friends.
Really cool. Well, and how do you generate and formulate the pieces? Are they through, you know, your internal thoughts? Are they externalized through, you know, friends, through society, through things that you see? How do those ideas?
So how do I get my ideas?
Well, how do they formulate? Because, you know, I mean, ideas are fascinating, but is it one of those where you take it from maybe a third person perspective, or do you just generate that internally and keep going?
I'm what's called a pantser, and I write, but it's called writing by the seat of your pants.
That's really fascinating. Okay.
So you get an idea, and I do work from a little bit of an outline, and I get the idea going, and then it just comes to me. So I write by the seat of my pants.
Does that affect the way that the story lays out ever?
Oh, yeah. So I write the first 2 chapters, and then I flip to the end because I need that target.
Yeah.
Like where I'm going, how I want it to end.
That's exactly how I would write.
Where I need it to be. And then I go back and I fill in the details in the middle. And then I might even have to go back to the end and kind of tweak things up a little bit based on how things happened in the middle. So it's kind of, I don't want to say I'm unorganized and all over the place, but I really am. When you're writing a book, sometimes you're just disorganized and all over the place.
So with those ideas, though, do they come from internal, or do you take a synopsis of maybe something you've witnessed or maybe something you've heard of or seen and use those?
I use all kinds of things.
That's amazing. Okay.
For example, one of my most successful books it's a romantic comedy called All I Wank for Christmas. Not want. And I got that idea. So I got that idea because we're going to get in trouble, aren't we?
No, that is amazing. And trust me, there has been so much worse on this show. That is amazing.
Okay.
Oh my.
But I got the idea from, there's a million books out there named All I Want for Christmas. And one of them had a little bit different font that looked like a K, and I started laughing. And I was like, wait a second, that's a T, but that's a great idea for a book. I'm going with that. I had an outline for it in 20 minutes.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
So yeah, it did really
well. Is that
well.
book still out?
It did. It did really well last Christmas. It was my first bestseller in comedy.
What was it about?
So she works at a massage parlor, but it's not the normal kind of massage parlor. It's that kind of massage parlor.
Hence the name of the book.
Yes. And he is Santa's son, who comes in because he's distressed and he thinks it's a normal massage parlor. Well, he ends up really liking her, and he shows up later that night because he has to do the delivery run. His dad is sick. And yeah, so she ends up helping him deliver the Christmas gifts that night. And it's like a very fun night adventure, and they fall in love over the time.
Well, this is what I think is this is really a fascinating conversation, because we always talk about authors and things, but not books such as this. Now, whenever you're writing them, what do they do for you when you write? And what I mean by that is in a mental space, like does it help you, kind of just navigate, your personal life? Does it, is it one of those where it's strictly entertainment? Is it a way of therapy in a way? Because there's a little bit of that for a lot of authors, and I'm curious.
It's just totally entertainment. I don't get into really heavy issues.
Okay.
So it's not like I use it for therapy. I don't use it to go through my childhood trauma or anything. Right. It's just entertainment. It's fun. It's something creative. It's not heavy.
Yeah,
to me.
I'm a big
fun.
fan of this because this is what I like about it. The pieces are really what they're about. Then they are just they're entertainment pieces with a little bit of something different.
Right.
Now, did you think you would have hit bestseller status or have bestseller or any of that with this?
Honestly, if you would have told me any of this would have happened like 5 years ago, I would have punched you in the face. Lying, because I did not sit down and start writing until the beginning of 2021. So
did you ever write before?
I wrote little stupid things like blog posts, and I did some kind of work for...
The RiverBender blog talk will be on in just a second. That's our segment.
I did some work for some blogs, or, just, $50 here, $50 there, freelance kind of gigs, nothing heavy. Totally shocked myself, just really enjoyed writing my first book, and I just kind of kept going.
Huh. Wow. Now, the reason I kind of stopped there is like that's just so fascinating, because in life, though, we always sit there and go, we can't do this because we don't know how, or we can't do this because it's like, where do I start?
Yeah.
And it just seems like you just did it.
Oh, it's a lot of research.
So you did do a ton of research.
Oh, I did.
Okay, see, that's why I stopped. I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
Okay.
So writing the book is the easy part. The hard part is formatting it.
Okay.
Finding a cover designer.
Yep.
Learning how to interact with other authors, because every success that I've had has been from other authors saying, hey, there's this promo that you can sign up for. Or you can, this one works, this one doesn't. Mm-hmm. And I do a lot of work with other authors, actually.
See, that's amazing, because that's why I paused. I'm like, whoa, that's not an easy you can't just do that. And now, how much have you learned in the 3 years you've been doing this?
I've learned to self-edit. I am certified to teach English in Missouri, so I do have kind of that background, so I'm not completely dysfunctional. I do have a proofreader that I send it off to, but other than that, I format it myself. I did not make this cover myself, but sometimes I make my own covers.
Where do your books sell at? Is it all online?
Yes. So I do also have print. Hey, that brings me to another point. I will actually be at Books by the Arch this weekend, where a lot of other authors, especially, they will have all kinds of authors, but there's a lot of romance there.
Cool.
Books by the Arch will be at the Drury downtown. It's from 12 to 4, which is general admission, and it's totally free. So you can come in and talk to the authors, get books signed.
Now let me ask you this with the book, because I haven't read it or your pieces yet. But is it a situation for you where less is more when you're writing, or do you want the picture to be fully painted?
I think that you can have too much detail in a book.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will get bogged down if you go by, oh, well, the color of the walls was this.
Yeah,
the
and you had dirty shoelaces and all that.
I usually do a little bit of detail just so you don't have that what's called the white room effect. You don't want somebody to just not be able to imagine the space that they're in, your characters are in. But I do get detailed, but not too much. I think that there's this middle ground that you can kind of fit into.
See, that's very fascinating. Now, when you're writing about maybe a steamier scene, how do you detail that? I mean, is it one of those things where do you leave it up for the audience or your reader to interpret a little bit and have some creative thought there, or do you write in a detailed way that kind of just, here's what's going on?
Well, so the thing about the erotic scenes are you have to be as detailed as possible.
Okay.
That is one scene that people do want detail. They want to know what it looks like. They want to know what it sounds like, what it feels like. Hey, throw in some smell in there too. I don't know, but every sensory item that you have to really immerse your audience into that.
Very fascinating. Now, when you talk, have you had some conversation or feedback from readers or emails or just their thoughts? What are their takeaways from your pieces? Is it one of those where you're getting a little bit of are you getting a lot of story with that too? Because I feel like just talking to you, it's not just it's not an erotica piece. It's really just it's a story.
It is a
that
story.
has those ties.
Yeah. So I actually am an award winner. One of my books won the National Indie Excellence Award for Romantic Comedy.
Wonderful.
And that was probably my longest book. But you have plot, you have setup, you have reasons why you do things. You have a lot of times you have a breakup in, the third act, and some people have feelings about that. And then they get back together, and there's a happily ever after, which really defines romance. Mm-hmm. So it is a lot of plot. It is that's the hardest thing to write is the plot points and outline. What beat happens where.
This is really fascinating. And now, Tori, what I love about the covers too is I'm not patronizing or anything, but if I would go into Target and I see their book section, that's what their book section. They're very professionally, distributed. The cover art is wonderful. The font placement's perfect on those. Mm-hmm. Who do you attribute that to?
So I do have. Sometimes I make a cover myself.
Okay.
This one I did not. Actually, this cover designer is Coffin Print Designs. He is based in England.
He did a great job.
He did this and Contact High. My other books, I actually have a Ukrainian designer, and I've been using them for a lot of my books. So
how many? So do you have an international network?
I do. Yeah.
Wow.
So a lot of times they're able to do things a little bit faster, and they're also able to do things a little bit cheaper because of the exchange rate.
Now, that kind of is a follow-up I have that's kind of fascinating is about that international tie-in. Do you have pieces to where you go outside of maybe your own cultural norms and go to a different location or, around the world, or are they set in America?
Characters.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. I don't think that I have any books that are outside of the U.S. I write all over the U.S.
Right.
I have a book that's takes place in Minnesota, and I have another one that takes place in South Dakota, and the South and all that. So, but I don't think I've done anything. Now I have to do something international. That's the challenge, I guess.
You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. So, Baked and Burned is out now.
Yes.
You're going to be at Books by the Arch
Right.
coming up this Saturday?
Yes, Saturday. What is that, the 5th?
Yes.
Yeah, 12 to 4. General admission is free. It's at the Drury. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
And then I got to get back to this Christmas book because that is the most creative title I think I've ever heard. So, is writing this style because it's not erotic. It's a piece. I mean, it's a novel. Do you get to have a little bit more creative freedom with some of that because of it?
That's one of the reasons I did not pursue traditional publishing.
Is that seriously why? Yeah.
Because a lot of times traditional publishers will be like, we don't want this scene right here. We want you to clean it up. I don't want to clean it up. I want to make it dirty because that's what people like.
Right.
So I have complete creative freedom. Actually,
Wonderful.
All I Want for Christmas just came out on audio as well. So it is on audio.
Who does the audiobook?
Her name is Christina Rose.
Okay.
And she did the audiobook for me. I did not record that myself. I did outsource that. So it's on Audible, it's on iTunes, and you can listen to it for your Christmas reading pleasure.
This is really cool. And now, what book do you have underneath of
So
Baked
this
and Burned?
one is called Out of Luck in the Outback, and I wanted to talk about this series a little bit because the series family is based in Alton.
Really?
So I have this whole 8 sisters that live in this family, and they are originally from Alton, Illinois, and then they go and travel all of these places. Actually, you know what? This is international. I just happened to think I do have an entire series where sometimes they travel. Sometimes I forget.
This interview is coming full circle.
So yeah, this is one of my Calvert. I call them the traveling Calvert sisters because they kind of leave Alton and kind of go all over the place to find their love interests. And yeah, so you'll get to see a little bit of Alton in the series.
Really cool.
Yeah, and I actually have a freebie today. Lost in London is free on Amazon today if anybody wants to grab it out there. It's called Lost in London by Tori Ross.
Really cool. And, Tori, what else you got coming down the pipeline? Any new pieces?
Well, I'm working on something right now, but it won't come out until May.
That's okay.
So it'll be a while. It's called Techno Bar, and it's the sequel to Disco Bar. Disco Bar is my Why Choose book that took place in 1978. So they had a daughter. And so the Techno Bar is taking place in 2002. So that'll be a little bit easier for me to write because I was 2 in 1978. That was a hard one for me to write. But I remember 2002, so I can do that one.
Tori, this has been really cool. And now, if people are wanting to know more information, do you have a website?
I do. So this is probably going to get you in trouble too. My website is www.smuttyBookLady.com.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then also they can just go out to Amazon and search Tori Ross, and I'll come up, and you'll get to see my entire catalog. So I'm on Amazon. Some of my stuff is in Kindle Unlimited. Some of it isn't. So yeah, they can just go out to Amazon and check it out. And
this is really fast. And now, if someone else has maybe been interested in this, and they don't know how to self-publish or anything, do you do advice or anything like that? Do you
I
work
can.
with people?
I would be happy to. Other authors have helped me so much, so I'm always glad to help other authors.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Well, Tori, I mean, seriously, thank you so much for stopping by. This was really fun.
I had a lot of fun.
And please come back anytime, seriously. And honestly, we might have to have you come back on for a reading of what was the book?
All I Want for Christmas.
Yeah, there we go. that would be fun. That would be interesting.
That might get you some high ratings.
Yeah, there you go. TheSmuttyBookLady.com.
Yes.
And we'll link everything in an article on RiverBender.com at 10:31. Tori Ross, thank you so much for your time. And we'll come back with Sydney Sinks and Blog Talk right after this on RiverBender.com and Roku TV.